Yeah, social media family. Been of any subscribers as well as any visitors to that been social media channel and a chat room or comment section or whatever I would say. How are you all doing? Hope everyone's doing okay at least, or wherever you're at in the world. You know, whatever races and whatever walks of life, fashions of society, or lifestyle preferences. As you see, I'm in a totally different atmosphere at the moment. Yes, I'm in a bookstore. I'm in the downtown area, all the same. You know, within the city limits of metropolitan Chicago, Illinois, for the Midwest of the USA, United States of America. That's the library I go to sometimes. You know, the headquarters library that supersedes or has that much more authority over all the other different library branches throughout the city, as we have it for this particular one in the Midwest, as in the Windy City, being what would be considered as the sister city to that of the city of the Big Apple, as which is the nickname for New York, New York. And whereas we Chicagoans have been given that the nickname that is our own city for Chicago residents. That is what I meant to say, correction. Excuse, pardon, and forgive me for butchering the English language and American dialect of some such qualities and quantities of grammatics with all its usages. And whereas we citizens of Chicago have been, given an opportunity to have our own fair city, be nicknamed by, our fellow American citizens elsewhere and foreigners as the Windy City. And it does get quite windy here. Well, that's not bad. Look at these fools, blackmails, boxing. If you could look down that way, you see them outside the Chicago branch headquarters library for the park outside of some and such. Then there's the boys in blue friendly with Spider-Man. I don't know if they're going to investigate matters, but hopefully those brothers are play fighting. Then there are some city buses nearby. Yes. And so I'm presently within the city limits of Chicago. Yes, just chilling, as they say, according to that particular vernacular of honest. As they would put, there's another call for the squad. That's like well, yeah. And this is the law school. See, University of Illinois Chicago Law School. I think it's called, let me see, John Marshall Law School, something like that. At one time or another, I was, researching matters as to try to figure out which law schools, would be preferred by me within the city limits, and at the same time would prove to be affordable. Whereas I had yet to resume my legal study as a prior legal or law student, from pursuing a legal career to become a paralegal to pursuing one to become a literal actual lawyer or attorney and then move on from there to becoming a judge. Speaking upon it last, so far as judges is concerned, again, I had served as a judge of election, most recently being of a totally different kind of a judge, as in regard to American politics. For that, it's on such a good name past all the pedestrian as you all know, any judge being in the average room would spend something like 2/3 of a day, serving as a public servant of that nature in one regard or another. Well, there is the opportunity to serve, like for one, a judge of elections, and then you could serve as one of the election coordinators, and then you could serve as an election poll watcher. And I had served as a judge of election, but there's a difference. The judge of elections have to serve, like I said, for 2/3 of the day, and they have to sit there wherever they are located at for an address within city limits or suburban limits for that matter, depending on where you live. And whereas, okay, see, it's like from 5 in the morning to 7 p.m. at night, and then there are additional hours, that will add up to 2/3 of the day, because you have to store the stuff away. And whereas the judge of elections have to sit within the atmosphere and register the voters and et cetera, go through all the necessary process and do it by reference to the different political candidates. Whereas the election coordinator, on the other hand, can go in and out as often as one pleases, much more than judge of election. Whereas one just supervises the different judges of election compared to how the poll watchers now, they will spend less time throughout. They just come in and do whatever they have to do to be associated with the rest of us. So, there's a user by the name of Bronze Biz. It looks like the first time visitor to my social media channel. Hey, hi, rather, halo, not hello. I no longer employ the use of the word hello, or I no longer use that particular greeting word after reading this commentary, or as Arthur had put it in more words, less or paraphrase, not put it exactly, that when one person introduces oneself to another individual by greeting on with the greeting word of hello, that you're supposedly literally actually wishing a curse upon another individual person, with the root word of the greeting word of hello being hell, being of which is to be defined as translated meaning a place of torment. So I no longer use that particular one, rather I have substituted or replaced it with another being that of halo. It sounds pretty much the same like the other one, but there's two different spellings, and it's pretty much so practically, if not possibly altogether, two different meanings. If you know what I mean. Read between the lines, fill in the blanks. Anyway, though, I had decided to pay a visit to this here particular atmosphere, these premises properties, the first facility. I was going to go to the Hair Washing Library. Sometimes I change up. As you all know, variety is the spice of life. I want to change the scenery of different personalities, intellects, and ignorance as well. Ignorance is a word. I just made up a new word, I guess, or ignorance. No. Anyway, though, because in times like these, where we're living in a global pandemic, like people are more stressed out, that's including believers in not just a higher power, but the higher power, then of whom I choose to recognize and realize to be the God of my own understanding, the Lord and Savior Christ, and I deliver. Whereas it would be bad enough if I were to come off as a lesser to you than a father or son, than to encounter some other persons that could possibly prove to become or be a conflict of interest, not only for I myself being that of my presence, but for oneself and others, And as you all know, I would think that some, if not all, that the worst of two evils is the likes who make up the worstest of closet devil worshippers, being of the majority of churchgoers or whatever religious denomination, from the pools to the pulpits, especially when it comes to like those televangelists, prosperity preachers, or false brethren, false prophets, and whereas at times I could come off as one of the lesser two evils, being of a prodigal son, and if you are a female, then you will be considered as a prodigal daughter of the believing God who go astray from the will of God, But at the present moment in time, I'm feeling pretty much so on cue, I guess you could say, It all depends on. Well, Friday is coming up tomorrow, and I sometimes frequent some of these here, which are soup kitchens and food pantries, as I rely on. Look at this food. He's a member of the LGBT, what do they call it, LGBT community, what I meant to say. Not that I meant to sound off like slashed along with the speech impediment or elder for spoken out as well, like one of our late presidents of the u.s.a, Ronald Reagan, went through the memory lapse episode. But, not that I meant to sound the same racist. Well, only to a certain degree. I'm no way affiliated or associated with representing the Westboro Baptist Church with its bogusly blasphemous religious email or blog at www.godhatesflash.com. The God of my own understanding, he does not hate the homosexuals. He just hates their blasphemous alternative lifestyle preference. And so much for that particular subject matter conversation, unless I want YouTube, aka YouTube, that wasn't meant to sound racist either. It just meant that some people consider the white Jewish as owning the majority of the different social media outlets, Some people, compared to how others would have meant it in a more racist kind of way. But as I was trying to say, as a backtrack, there would be no purpose of being once I go into the poem, continue from where and when that is my first and last step off, so I can finish up as a complete poem free of prior lines following that sanction word, regardless of whether or not I am speaking correct, proper standard English grammar of American dialect. And whereas I don't want to speak like so whereas it could possibly seem that I'm, more than homophobic as in extremely homophobic. I'm only homophobic to a certain extent if it conflicts with my religious beliefs, but I'm not affiliated with or representing Westboro Baptist Church. I'm not associated with this blasphemous email or blog, and I don't want to go there. Whereas YouTube, aka YouTube, could put me in the YouTube jail once again because I couldn't broadcast for something like a whole week or a time frame period. Since last time they had restricted my features for my own social media channel with them as one of its account holders, and then they give me my first strike, and that won't be removed from my social media channel until something like the first month, as in January of next year. So I have to be careful about the words I use. I will have to speak in hieroglyphics or coded language, as they say, when it comes to that, I mean, after all, we live in a democratic republic of democracy, not a dictatorship like the late Nazi Germany before it had become a democratic republic of democracy once again. Then how are you all doing, my social media family? Any visitors to that being on my own social media channel? Let me see what this here user has said. Do you believe it is immoral to broadcast oneself in a sexual capacity? I don't understand the question. It all depends on what you mean by that. If you could please explain, I'd appreciate it. Because I have no idea what you're talking about. Other than that, if you come on my page or into my channel or chat room or comment section for that matter, and you're coming off like a negative and counterproductive or contradictory or contrary internet troll, then I have a zero tolerance for characters as that being, regardless of race or walk of life or gender for that matter, being of the old and young in life. Because first of all, if you prove yourself to possibly become or be a nuisance, of that nature, then I will first of all silence the chat, and then second of all, I will, block you. And very few persons, whom I block from my own social media channel, who I permit re-access to it again. And because the majority or most will simply say are blocked, entirely, completely, permanently. Then it takes all kinds to make a world, and sometimes you just have to ignore stuff, to a certain extent, that is. You cannot literally actually turn a blind eye to anything and everything or anyone and everyone. I mean, after all, that's how 6 million white Jewish persons had perished, and because the American military had decided to get into the fight, at the last moment, whereas, more of the white Jewish could have been saved. All the same to be compared onto a different, scenario so far as, black slavery is concerned. If more abolitionists had come forth, then there wouldn't have been so many blacks had perished during that other most horrific historical time of human history. Who I had support from, I probably don't have their support anymore. Oh, I see. So the user with the username of Grimes Biz is making reference to pornography. No, pornography is a sin, according to my religious beliefs. Anybody that engages in pornography and speaking upon those matters and answering this question is going contrary. That is, if you are supposed to be a believer in God, you're contradicting yourself. You're going against God's divine plan for your life. Even if you were to go solo so far as to masturbate, not to mention if you were to engage in sensual or sexual activity of a nature. I'm sorry about that. Hopefully she wasn't puffing about I myself, not that I would be attempting to come off like a conflict of interest for anybody, and she's like talking as loud as I don't know what, much louder than I am. Not that I would be mean to be a conflict of interest for anybody, including myself, equally as well, especially that it be said. I'll say for the record. Anyway, guys, just start to come in here and chill. Oh, look, it's pretty nice little place. Chill. That's what do you call street slang, like black Ebonics or something, or Mexicans, or whatever. Lingo around terms. I don't know. It don't matter. It's street slang is of different races. It has its origins in different races and so forth. But anyway, getting back to some of the stuff, I usually broadcast for about half an hour, give or take. Sometimes it's like a quarter of an hour when I close shop. I may do that shortly because I'm not feeling too well at the moment. I'm feeling a little bit up on the weather. So far, my sinuses is bothering me. I went to a hospital the other day, or this medical facility, and if need be, they would recommend it to do follow up at a clinic or the vicinity area, neighborhood community, all the same, you know. And so far, as I'm concerned, I'm feeling much better than what I felt like before, or even before then. Not feeling a little more up on the weather as I went to a hospital here and there from time to time. And they were saying that, it doesn't appear to them that, doctor, nurse, that I have any kind of that corona virus or COVID-19 pandemic symptoms and so forth. Otherwise, they would have contacted me via my cell phone or email and so forth. Yeah, that stuff is taking people out. I would have said, so far, it doesn't appear that I have the corona faggot virus or the COVID-19 homo pandemic, but I cannot say something of that nature because that would make me seem to be just as much as, though they're catching it more, but I cannot really verify that to be the case of situation. That's what I hear that they suppose they're catching it more, if I didn't say correction. But I don't want to sound like a certain president of the U.S.A., if you know what I mean, old carrot top, whereas he had mislabeled it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against Trump, I'm more for Trump than Biden, speaking upon those matters, not that I'm wagging the dog, because, Sleepy Joe, a.k.a. Stove Joe, is a baby killer, an abortionist supporter. And whereas, Trump, otherwise, old carrot top, is pro-life. I didn't say pro-choice. There's a difference between pro-choice and pro-life. He's pro-life. And so, if I was to support an abortion supporter, baby killer president of the USA, that would conflict with my religious beliefs. Speaking upon those matters, if I were to get back to some other matter and to complete that of another one, some of such a nature. Anyway, though, old carrot top, he was calling the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic, he was saying the Chinese virus. I was like, wow, that's racist. How can you do that? Right off a whole race of people, persons. You just cannot do that. So it would be equally as wrong if I were to call that the coronavirus, corona faggot virus, or the COVID-19 homo pandemic. At one time, I was going about that, counterproductive conflict of interest rhetoric until I had to renegotiate my position of a line of thought and say, well, that's against my religious beliefs. Then because the God of my own understanding tells us to love everybody regardless and try to live in peace and harmony with whosoever, but not sacrifice our own religious beliefs, being of the supernatural or the spiritual. But then speaking on something on a much lighter note, once again, hopefully, or whatever I would say, I'm going to try to get out here and enjoy the rest of the day before I try to make out here to one of these self-help recovery meetings. As I myself personally am a recovering chronic alcoholic, and likewise I'm a recovering reefer addict. And as any recovering chronic alcoholic or recovering drug addict or whatever sort or type of drug that one use can do, as well as any recovering alcoholic for whatever intoxicating alcoholic beverage that one could drink. All we can do if we're in recovery is take it one day at a time. That's all I'm trying to do. And I'm supposed to have something like, from 3 to 6 years of sobriety for my recovery. I say from 3 to 6 years, because let me put it like this here, before you all would have think I'm trying to pick myself. See, there is a thing called a lurking notion You can have that 800-pound gorilla on the back of wanting to go back to living that damn hell in the bottle or worse yet in the pipe, So it's like you're drunk or high, And there have been some times that I was having some major lurking notions to go back to it. But like I said, all any recovering chronic alcoholic or recovering drug addict can do is to take matters one day at a time. So I have something like from 3 to 6 years of sobriety for my own recovery. Ain't that beautiful? To put it like that in street slang terms. But anyway, though, I'm about to conclude. As you all know, I will open up a social media broadcast with commentary, introduction, and footnotes, and then I will speak upon the subject matter, or a couple, 2 or 4 more for that matter. Topic of discussions to be debated, given arguments with the many different views and opinions to be associated or affiliated and represented, depending on how I feel. And then last but not least, I will give the closing as I would usually go about, either paraphrasing, quoting exactly to share with you all the gospel message of our Lord and Savior, as I would try to do, even if I have to force myself to say something, so depending on whether or not I'm feeling like the prodigal son, going against God's will, and then have to be brought back to my senses as Jonah being swallowed by a whale. Or as I was saying, more words or less, and that is, if you haven't gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins. Mobile. I'm going to get back to some such as, unless you accept Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, and if you make that transition for the great beyond the hereafter, afterlife, and you have not done so, and your final destination would be the lake of fire, damn hell, then, because you would not have that fire insurance policy of his to keep from burning up forever and ever, and keep yourself from being tortured and terrorized by the devil and the demons for all eternity. You would be a symbol with the rest of the lost damn human souls, with unbelievers and non-believers. Compared to how we as believing God would be across that great divide that separates heaven from hell, in the company of like-minded believers as in Christians, aka Protestants, and in the presence of God and his angels otherwise. Then God cannot permit any unsaved, lost, damn human soul that has rejected the salvation of his Son, to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And because if that were to be the case, then heaven would no longer be that. It would be a hell, And then that would kind of put in the question as to whether or not the Bible is just, that as it is supposed to have been claimed the word of God, or a piece of shit paper. Is that what I say? Sorry about that. It sounds like a less tool now. Probably a piece of toilet paper, toilet tissue. So, anyway, though, I wish you all well. I'm about to get out of here, and hopefully, if any of you have not as yet, not as yet have accepted Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, hopefully you will do so before it becomes too late. For tomorrow is not promised to anyone. You cannot wait to get on to the other side of this existence and then decide if you want to accept Him or His salvation. Then, because it's not Burger King or BK to simply say, you can't have it your way. You all take care and be safe. Be blessed, not stressed, by getting Christ's salvation if you haven't gotten it already. And I will holler at you, so to speak. It's just street slang, colloquial or vernacular. And I will speak to you later. Until then it's a wrap. We out. Peace.